good, thorough opportunity to ask questions. Are there further questions, Senator Kane? Senator Warren, is that Senator Murray? I have one question, and then we'll conclude the hearing. Thank you for being here. I talked at the very beginning about Tom Friedman's book, which I found really very good in trying to capture a lot of the conditions that probably surrounded the last election, which is the head-spinning acceleration of so many different forces, especially causing American workers to not be able to fit into the workplace. One area where American workers are still able to fit into the workplace is with our franchisees. There are hundreds of thousands. I think the number is about 700,000 Americans who have franchises. In other words, they have an opportunity typically in their hometown to take a restaurant franchise or some other franchise, and typically they work 12 hours a day for many years, and often it's a family working that long for many years, and it's a way that you can still live in your own community and work in your own community and be reasonably independent and move your way into the middle class. Now, in my way of thinking, the prior administration's joint employer definition that was first established by the National Labor Relations Board begins to upend the whole concept of franchising and to threaten it, making it more likely that a large company would decide not to have franchises, but just own all the stores itself. So a restaurant company that had 800 restaurants, for example, instead of having 700 franchises, might just say under the broad joint employer definition that's in the NLRB and that seems to be spreading in the Department of Labor, it makes more sense for the parent company to own it, depriving hundreds of thousands of Americans a chance to be a franchise owner. Let me ask you these questions. In order to be treated as the employer of an employee, shouldn't a business person have direct and immediate control over an employee?
That is one of the traditional criteria, Senator.
Do you believe that indirect control or even unexercised potential to control working conditions could make a franchisor and a franchisee joint employers?
That would be an untraditional approach.
Do you think that the person who hires, fires, pays, sets work hours, and issues directions to employees should be considered the employer?
I'm sorry, that hires, fires,
pays, sets work hours, and issues directions
that
to
is,
employees should be considered the employer.
That is the usual approach, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Acosta, for your patience and for your answers and for your willingness to subject yourself to a confirmation session. I think all in all, it went very well. And I think part of the reason may be your experience, the fact that you've been before the United States Senate 3 times, nominated by a President of the United States, and you've been confirmed by the Senate. I have no doubt that you will be this time. I look forward to working with you as the Secretary of America's Workforce at a time when many Americans are trying to find a way to fit into work, and hopefully working together with Congress, we can make that easier. This committee has a broad array of views, but many times in the past, very important times, we've been able to take our differences of opinion and come to a consensus, such as our law to fix No Child Left Behind, which President Obama called a Christmas miracle, and our 21st Century Cures Act this past year, which Senator McConnell called the most important bill of the last Congress. So maybe some of the most important work we can do during the next couple of years would have to do with helping the American workforce adjust to the head-spinning conditions in which we all find ourselves and fit more easily into the workplace. I know that's a concern of the senator from Virginia. He's talked to me many times about that. Both of us used to be governors. We understand that much of that work has to be done, as you said in your response to the senator from Maine. We have to understand what it's like in Culpeper and Nashville before we issue orders from here, but nevertheless, we can have a national interest in it. If the senators wish to ask additional questions of our nominee, questions for the record are due by the close of business tomorrow, March 23rd. For all other matters, the hearing record will remain open for 10 days. Members may submit additional information for the record within that time. Thank you very much for being here today. The committee will stand adjourned.
Thank you for the courtesy.